Are you seeing the point here? But now, getting back to the education system, which is what I was trying to start on. If we look at the education system, the public education system, I want to emphasize that what we will find is that, as I have said before in another area, the public school system in this nation is a system that is morally and spiritually bankrupt. Why? Because since the public school system has taken steps to eliminate things like prayer, taking the 10 Commandments out of the schools, kids come into school wearing a shirt from, with a picture of like Tupac Shakur or some of these other rap groups or some movie star or something like that, or they come in with some saying that promotes some sort of vulgar activity or something like that. They can come in. Child comes into school with a picture of Jesus Christ on it, or a cross on it, or 10 Commandments or something. 10 Commandments, one of the commandments on their shirts or something like that. They're sent home and told to change shirts, and then they can come back into school. So in other words, what I'm saying is the public school system today in this nation, unlike back before all of this stuff happened, where the prayer and the 10 Commandments and stuff were taken out of the public schools, the schools, we didn't have that big of a problem. But as we have progressed and certain activist groups have gotten together and complained that they didn't like this and they didn't like that, even though they were in the minority, there was always somebody willing to take their case to court and try to get a win. And what happens is that over a period of time, when you get a certain number of politicians in office that think a certain way, what they will tend to do is, under certain circumstances, get judges appointed to the bench that carry their views. And therefore, these lawyers manage to get their cases heard before these particular judges, and then the judge makes a ruling on the situation, and the next thing you know, they get a win, and then that affects the public school system. You see, it's the public school system, the moral condition of the public school system, that is the center focus of the problem in the first place, because they have done one thing, and that is they have rejected knowledge and wisdom, because they have rejected the Lord. And we see the result time and again. You reject God, you reject wisdom, you reject knowledge. And what did God say was going to happen? Because you have rejected knowledge, I will reject thee. And then he turns around and says, because you have rejected me, I will also reject or forget your children. And all of this rests with us. You know why? Because we parents, we grown-ups, turn right around and keep on supporting these same politicians with these same views that try to tell us that if by us standing up for what is right in God's eyes, that somehow or other we aren't being compassionate, or somehow or other we need to get down off our high horse, or that we need to get a life, or that telling the other people not to pay any attention to us. They're going to do that. Well, what you're doing is essentially setting up the school system to fail. And the result is right there in front of you when you look at what's happening with our kids and the conditions of the school system. Going to the other verse that I had read in the passage I read in Isaiah 54:13, where it says, "And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord." Well, people say, well, yeah, you're supposed to teach your children about the Lord at home. Okay, so I teach them at home. Then I send them to an institution that not only doesn't teach them of the Lord, but actually goes so far as to tell them that what their parents are what their parents are teaching them at home is a lie. How do they do that? The theory of evolution, sex education, and then you got this other. Well, then you have the situation of what actually amounts to a family. A man and a woman, or can two men be a family, or two women be a family? And then, God forbid that they have a child. Well, for one thing, think about this: how do two gay people get a child? They adopt them, or some of them go so far as go to a sperm bank or whatever it is. If it's two women, go to a sperm bank, get some sperm, and inject themselves with the sperm, get pregnant that way. In other words, they have to basically have a heterosexual relationship type thing in order for them to be able to have a child and so forth. With two men, they would have to get a woman or something like that, or rely on the result of a heterosexual couple having a child and then giving the child up for them to adopt. So like I say, that's a family that's not the way that God would want a family to be formed. Now, the point still being, though, what I'm saying is, you teach your children of the Lord, then you send them to an institution that undoes everything that you're trying to do. Now we've got the public school system teaching our kids about global warming and stuff, and how we need to alter our lifestyles. We need to change from this, that, and the other. We need to spend billions of dollars to tear down all the factories and this, that, and the other, and revert to clean energy and this, that, and the other, and governments jumping in and doing their thing. But the whole thing boils down to is this: the public school system is undoing everything that godly parents, conscientious godly parents, are doing, trying to raise their kids the right way. And I'm not excusing parents from not trying to help their kids, by being too busy to help their kids with their homework and going to teachers' meetings and things like that. But you've basically got a broken system from the get-go. And it reminds me of a little analogy that I use sometime, whereas went to a farm, dairy farm, and I saw where the owners of the farm had all these cows hooked up to milking machines, and then they had some cows off to the side, and they weren't the milk that was coming from those cows, they didn't put in with the regular cows' milk that was going out to market. And I asked them, well, why are you have these over here separated? And he said, because the cows are showing signs of not being well. They might be sick or something like that, and we don't want any situation where the milk from these cows might be contaminated if the cow is sick, and then we put it in the market and it goes out and makes people sick. So we isolate the cows over here that are sick. We still milk them because they have to be milked, but we don't put the milk in with the milk that's going out to the public because we don't want the public to get sick, and then we get sued. And I thought about that, and I said, yeah, that's a good thing. Well, in this instance, it is the public schools that are represented by the cow. And guess what? The public school system is still sending contaminated milk out to our children. We are steadily sending our children to the system, and the system is making our kids sick. They're uneducated. They're morons. They're dropping out of school and so forth. They can't get a job, and everything is going wrong for them, and we wonder why. And somehow or other, when time comes to do something about it, we choose not to do anything about it, but still continue to send our kids to the public school system because they come up with all these programs. They come up and tell us, well, you know, our system now, our schools are starting to turn around, and we've got all these new buildings. Yeah, you got all the new buildings. They say we've now got computers. Yeah, you got the computers in there. You've got all of these new amenities, so that the parents will continue to send the kids to the school, but you still have the same problem. The outside is fine, but the school system as a whole, their education process is contaminated, all because of the rejection of Christ. So I don't care how many millions or billions of dollars you spending trying to turn things around in the public school system, until you get God back in the public school system, till you get God, the 10 Commandments back in there, till you get rid of the foolishness, or at the very least, if you're going to teach evolution, teach creationism with it, and let the facts speak for themselves.